Trump at the World Economic Forum in Davos said he wants immediate talks about the US buying the Greenland island, adding that he won't use military might to take Greenland. The possible purchase, he says, is not a threat to NATO, but analysts argue that tariffs are a form of economic force. As Trump delivered his address, the audience paid attention, wondering just how far he intends to upend the global order. One thing is that Trump made himself clear, even if the other side disagree. The spirit of dialogue will hopefully benefit from the clarity and mutual understanding. Over 1 hour speech mixed with subtle threats, rude parallels, and polite pleas with the usual heavy dose of campaign rhetoric focused on a stronger America and affordability. Facts, of course, will be checked, mostly debunked by the press, and he also described Europe as frail. It came across to an international viewer that nowhere else matters but the US. Ahead of the speech, stock markets, treasuries, and the dollar fell as Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, interpreted the latest signals from Trump implying that the old rules-based multilateralism is truly over. Meanwhile, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent did his best to manage the fallout and reduce the vast reputation damage. The boss of Deutsche Bank, Christian Sewing, called him to dismiss a report by George Saravelos, one of the German investment giant's own analysts, suggesting European investors were less willing to hold US assets as Trump seeks control of Greenland. Not so good news for the Swiss. Larry Fink, CEO BlackRock, that's the interim chief of the World Economic Forum, is openly thinking about moving the venue of the World Economic Forum flagship event outside of Switzerland, possibly on a rotational basis to other cities of the world. While being a picturesque location, Davos is more suited as an exclusive small holiday resort for billionaires, not for hosting a conference that has assumed much larger dimensions than when it was earlier conceived. So what can the high priest of the America First movement say to appease the convention of the globalists in Davos? Ahead of Trump's speech, Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, warned that the world may be plunging into a downward spiral. The Greenland affair may be the last straw for those who held that nothing remotely good can emerge from this aggressive presidency. Macron's words, also described on the Davos stage as bullying, useless aggressivity, and full of conspiracies rather than science. Canada's Prime Minister Carney is right as he declares at the Davos temple, the old order is not coming back, irrespective of how all this turns out. Stocks were higher on Wall Street, however, after Trump told the World Economic Forum that he would not use force to acquire Greenland, easing a concern that has rattled markets and caused a flight from dollar-based assets. European lawmakers have suspended the approval of the trade deal the EU and US agreed in July. Not so clear how this could change as negotiations on Greenland progress or stall. Here's a clip from Trump's speech.
Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory. It's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. When we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries, they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. But I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally, it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease? So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful, our borders are very strong, and above all, our economy is strong, because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had.
Hello, this is Global Business Insights, where we bring thoughts and ideas to help you interpret trends and navigate the context from a business perspective. UK's Office for National Statistics reported that inflation in the UK rose to 3.4% in December from 3.2% in November, and also above the market expectation of 3.3%. On a monthly basis, the CPI increased 0.4% after declining 0.2% in November. Inflation ticked up, driven partly by higher tobacco prices following recently introduced excise duty increases. Core inflation, excluding energy, alcohol, and tobacco, stood at 3.2%. That's year on year. In December, unchanged from November, according to the latest figures. The European Commission is tightening its Cyber Security Act to protect democratic institutions from frequent attacks by advanced state and criminal actors. Measures include excluding high-risk foreign suppliers from the supply chain. Huawei, often accused of spying for China, argued that banning firms based on origin breaches legal principles. Burberry, the renowned British luxury fashion brand, exceeded expectations in the last quarter of 2025. Sales increased by 3% compared to the previous year, driven by high demand in China and a successful campaign in Britain featuring well-known local celebrities. Since taking over as chief executive in 2024, Joshua Schulman has been steering the brand towards key products like trench coats and scarves. Back to Davos, South Africa House. Davos serves as the official base for Team South Africa's program during the World Economic Forum annual meeting. This venue will host panel discussions on themes, indeed already hosting, such as energy transition, investment opportunities, critical minerals, logistics reform, and digital innovation. Signature events include South African Night, that was on the 20th of January, and the tourism showcase entitled South Africa Awaits. Come find your joy. Nigeria is putting up a spectacular show at Davos with a prominent Nigeria House team of ministers, private sector leaders, and government officials selling the reform agenda. Nigeria definitely is open for business. The Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, has said the government is shifting away from debt, with domestic revenue, tax reform, and fiscal discipline now anchoring long-term economic stability. Still on Nigeria, analysts are concerned that the federal government of Nigeria's excessive domestic borrowing may be hurting and now crowding out the private sector. The widening fiscal deficit, 23.85 trillion naira in 2026, and the use of the domestic market to finance them implies a much larger borrowing provision required in the 2025 budget 2026 framework, signaling more reliance on domestic funding sources. Others warn that the challenge of fiscal space could scare investors and derail any meaningful attempt at sustainable, inclusive GDP growth with positive impact on poverty reduction. US markets are higher, but European stocks ended trading on a mixed note after Trump's Davos speech, as the prospect of an EU-US trade war still weighed on investor sentiment. Well, that's it on this special edition of Global Business Insights. This is Bode Oshosami. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.